Hey, welcome. My name is Ola. I'm a writer and I'm currently working on an adult fantasy with Ukrainian folklore. So recently I decided to reread my previous projects that I've shelved, like one of them, the latest one. And it was not horrible, but it was quite amateurish. And I decided to analyze like what exactly made it this way and make this video about those mistakes, about things that make writing seem amateurish, and I hope it will be helpful. So let's dive right into it. So first things first, it's like not a tip, it's rather an honorable mention, but the things that make your writing look amateurish for sure are bad grammar, bad dialogue, these things that are being talked about everywhere, and it's quite obvious and basic that you need to fix your grammar before going professional. Like, I know it's rich coming from me about grammar, but it's the truth. It's very important and we're not gonna dwell on it. And let's go right to the mistakes that I've noticed. So the first thing was the melodrama and lack of emotional build-up. Basically, my main character, even though he is an adult, like he is a student, so I think he's like 22 or something, he reacts like an angsty teenager. And in general, the older we grow, the older we become, the less emotionally we react to things. Like, children are very emotional, and adults in general learn to be less emotional. Like, of course there are exceptions, different circumstances, different people, someone is more emotional, someone is less emotional, sure, but like in general adult people are less emotional. And my character's reaction sometimes was out of hand. Like, there was this scene where he enters the classroom and the girl that he likes sat with some other guy. And like, my character drafted this note that he wanted to give to her, and the moment that he noticed that she's sitting with someone else, he like dramatically crumpled the note and dramatically threw it away. Like, no, adult people don't do that. And I have had like a lot of such things in that manuscript, and it really looked amateurish. And the lack of emotional build-up, what I mean by that is, for example, I had a couple of situations where the characters were having a quarrel and suddenly their argument just went from 0 to 100. Like, they were slowly, the argument was just, cooking, and suddenly someone screaming. Like, to chill, it's not that deep, not yet at least. So that absolutely took the immersion away, because this is when you like wake up from the book, and you remember that you're reading something. So in your writing, try to avoid melodrama, unless of course it's for some reason intentional. I think I should give a disclaimer here that all advice is subjective. What works for some people might not work for another people, and what works in some cases might not work for another cases. So it's just something to be mindful about. The second problem I had is spelling the themes out loud, explicitly. So let's be fair here, let's be honest. I'm not entirely against preaching in books. Like, if the author has something to say, something in particular, it's fine that they say it, like, okay, but it doesn't mean that you should state your themes like out loud. So let me give you an example here. One of my themes, like, I guess the biggest one, or one of the biggest ones, was being born bad versus making bad choices, like which makes the person a villain, let's say. And this is what one of my characters says out loud. People are not born bad. There is no such thing as bad blood. There are only choices that people make. Like, can we let the reader come to some conclusion? And it was really anticlimactic. Like, the scene was fine until this happened. So yeah, I guess try not to do that. The third thing that I had was lack of the build up for the twists. So the reason I had that was because I decided to add one twist when I was already finishing the draft. So like, of course, there wasn't build up for that. But when I added like one scene for that build up, it just wasn't enough. Basically, what I like to do now, how I see the good build up for the twist now, is giving your readers puzzle pieces beforehand, and then when the twist happens, you give them the final puzzle piece, so the picture like comes together and there is satisfaction for the reader, not only just pure surprise. Because if the twist comes out of nowhere, it just like won't affect the reader emotionally. And affecting your reader emotionally is what you want to do with your book. So something to remember. The fourth thing is something that I still struggle with, and a lot of writers struggle with, I know that, and this is unnecessary scenes and details. So we all sometimes want to see our character in some situation, and so we put the situation into our book and watch our characters in it. And if the scene isn't really needed in the book, it reads like a writer's fan service, like our fan service for ourselves. Like it reads like the fan fiction about our book, which we all want to have someday, I know that, but not in your book. So ideally, you gotta ask yourself about each scene, whether it would change a lot, whether it would matter if I just remove this scene. And sometimes the answer is no. It means you gotta remove it. In my case, I had one scene with the party game. I think it's like a great example. Who doesn't want to see their characters playing a party game? And even though the scene kind of had a foreshadowing and had a little bit of the character development, in the end, in all honesty, it wasn't needed. So, yeah, unfortunately. The fifth mistake was over-explaining the character's interiority and making the character too aware of himself. So this, I think, is best to explain with an example. In the story, my main character is being mentally abused, and in the very beginning of the story, when he craves his abuser's approval and attention, he knows that he shouldn't be doing that. And the problem here is that this way I kinda didn't leave him the space to develop this understanding, like to change his approach towards his abuser. And another thing that I did was like over describing his thoughts and feelings, which dragged the pacing a lot and at some point became repetitive and boring. So be careful not to overdo this. Like underdoing it is not good as well. So you need to look for this perfect balance in your character's interiority. The sixth, I've run out of fingers. The sixth mistake was character info dumping. So here we're going to go to that first book that I've shelved, which is like really, really bad. But I opened it just out of curiosity after I finished the second book. And what I saw on the very first page was characters info dumping. Like there is no world building info dumping in both those books because it wasn't fantasy, but on the very first page, when we don't care about that character yet, it was unnecessary and it was boring. Just to be clear here, I'm not entirely against info dumping or anything. Again, it's entirely subjective. Some people like info dumping, actually. Some people don't. I, for example, don't necessarily like it, but it's like entirely up to everyone. But the info dumping, even if it's there, it shouldn't be on the first page. And it shouldn't be about the character who we don't yet care about. I think that is quite objective. The seventh mistake, again from that first book, was restraint in theme exploration. So in my first book, there is such things that I used to call a subtle love subplot, which in truth is actually absolutely underdeveloped love subplot. The reason was that back in that time, I considered love subplots cringe. Like, internalized misogyny is to blame. I'm a different person now. And because of that, my subplot is just not entirely explored. It's just brushed upon. And therefore, it's not interesting, it's not satisfying, it's just bad. So I think now that if you want to explore some topic, you need to dive headfirst into that topic and not be afraid. If you're not entirely confident about that topic, if you're a little bit afraid, then leave it alone. Explore something else. Maybe it's just not the right time. You can explore it later when you're ready. But if you're exploring something, you should be dedicated to that. And the last mistake you can make is making your character an idiot. So I think we need another disclaimer here, that if your character is an idiot by design, so like they're supposed to be stupid or, I don't know, ignorant, that's fine. But in my case, and actually not only in my case, I have seen and read books where, popular books, I'm not gonna name, but there are books popular where the character is supposed to be smart, but for some reason they just can't put two pieces of the puzzle, me and puzzles in this video, together. This is annoying, and when the reader is ahead of the character in solving the case, let's say, it's boring. In my case, it wasn't a mystery, it was their relationship. So I had this kind of a slow burn in that book, and my main character was unsure that the girl that he liked him back. And it would be alright, it happens, if not for my main character being smart, supposedly, and confident, supposedly. So this just doesn't work. It was annoying at some point. It was unrealistic and irritating. So yeah, like, be careful not to make your character stupid for the sake of the plot, unless they're supposed to be stupid. So this is it. I hope this video was helpful. Thank you very much for watching, and please share in the comments what do you think are the mistakes that make writing look amateurish. I'm really curious. I'm sure that I didn't cover everything. It was only my personal experience. So please share yours. Thank you for watching, and see you later. Bye.